So here's a rather interesting article from CBR about how Steve Rogers, or Captain America, wasn't a hero for becoming Captain America. He was selfish. Now, this is done by Caleb Clark and has since been removed from 2 days ago. So people linked me this article and I couldn't find it. So what the hell happened? So I had to go through archive to find it. So this person thinks that Steve Rogers is selfish. Now, if you're anyone in the armed forces, anyone who wants to join the military or in any denomination doesn't do so for selfish reasons. Maybe there's a little bit of, okay, I need a job, I need to do something with my life. That's fine. That's normal. But that's not selfish innately. If you're going to join the military, you're sacrificing yourself. That's part of the job. You're putting yourself out there. Your whole life is going to be transformed for the next 3-4 years, depending if you actually survive the training and go forward with everything. And if we know anything about Steve Rogers, he's not physically capable of doing the job, but he's willing to do anything to be on the front lines, to be a hero, to serve his country. So for someone to claim that Steve Rogers was selfish is a bit strange. So the decision for Steve Rogers to become Captain America is inherently selfish, which is just odd. If you look at the definition of selfish, it is of a person lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. So I don't think anyone joins the military for personal profit or pleasure, or risks their lives, unless there's a heck of a lot of money and pleasure to be had. So I don't think that's what you get at when you go to the military. I don't think it's a pleasure palace where there's all this money to be made. So where is this person coming from? So Steve was rejected from the military due to his small stature and health issues, right? But his life changes when he's invited to join the Super Soldier program, which is how he becomes Captain America. So, however, when removing the context of what he would become, the decision is selfish. When you remove the context of anything, you can claim whatever the hell you want. Yeah, you can do all sorts of things when you take away the actual meaning found within a story. Like, what nonsense is this? Rather than contribute in the best way suited to him, Steve chooses to go under experimental treatments to artificially enhance himself. Okay, so already, Steve says, hey, I'm going to risk my life to better myself. How is that selfish? You're going to take an experimental drug. Like, that's already, you could die. You could have irrevocable damage done to you. This is silly. It's like the person doesn't know what words mean anymore. Steve's choice to become Captain America is rooted in a fetishization of hyper-masculine. How is Steve... When did Steve have a fetish to be hyper-masculine? He wanted to serve his country, and he thought that taking an experimental drug would do it. That's it. He had no fetish. He wasn't like, oh my God, I'm going to be so buff. It's like, no. There's a risk involved. This is rather than an innate desire to do good for his country. So already this person doesn't know the character of Steve Rogers, or is admitting to, when removing the context of what he would become, which is the wrong context he's removing. So you have to understand the character of Steve Rogers. He's just a guy who wants to do good. And he's the underdog. He's not suited for the job. He's the little guy that we can relate to. He's not strong. He's not tall. He's not capable of doing the job. But he has the right mindset. He has the right desire and will. That's why we like him. The protagonists in stories usually have great motivation, great plot, an identifiable plot that we can all relate to. We go, oh, look at that. Yeah, Steve Rogers. He's a hero. Mentally, not physically. That's what the experimental serum is all about. It's a strange thing. So he could have tried becoming a merchant marine, train as an officer, or stay home. Yeah, he could have done all these things. But he decided to go to boot camp, and he got his ass handed to him. And everyone's like, oh, okay, well, maybe he's not right for the job. He isn't right for the job. And then someone says, no, you're not physically there yet. We're going to inject you with something. Do you want to go along with it? Steve, in his eyes, has to be on the front lines. Yes, being on the front lines is not a selfish thing. No one is like, yeah, can't wait for fame and fortune on the front lines. Like, what? It's understandable for a young man to want to prove himself to his peers and his country, yet even if deep down his intentions are altruistic, the steps he takes to pursue those instincts are selfish. Like, what? So this writer is admitting that Steve is altruistic, but the way he gets there is selfish. I don't get it. How is taking an experimental drug selfish? What are you talking about? It could kill him. It can do any number of strange things to him, and he does it anyway. Captain America is known for his altruism and willingness to sacrifice everything, what he believes is right. There is something selfish within that because Cap's altruism isn't what he believes in doing and nothing else. Okay, Cap will fight against anyone who opposes his worldview, including his friends. Yes, he's so heroic. He's so one-sided. He knows what is right. That's the great thing about Captain America or Superman or Batman. They're so focused that if you go against their philosophy, they disagree with you or see you as an enemy, depending on your how far away you are on that scale. So I don't see what the problem is there. That just makes him more heroic. Like, you're just describing him as being a hero. Or is he selfish because of his heroism is selfish? Like, he has this completely black and white reality. He can't see the shades of gray. Is that it? The requirement that we stand up for what we believe no matter the odds or the consequences. Yeah, that's kind of what a hero is. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. Yeah, that's what a hero would say. That's what an idealized hero would say in the name of opposition. This quote would also be adapted in the film, with Sharon Carter saying it and inspiring Cap to stand his ground. Okay, yeah, so we see his backstory. We have the context for why he thinks this way. This quote also highlights Cap's tendency to respond to things with violence. Well, yeah, he's a soldier. That's kind of what soldiers do. They don't just say the words, they back it up. That's what makes him a hero. He's not all talk. In fact, Cap is an impulsive person, and his first response to opposition is to beat it down. Really? He's an attack first kind of guy? I don't think so. I really don't think so. These aggressive impulses are hidden beneath a veneer of tough American grit and freedom fighting. Now you're saying that Captain America is an aggressive, violent man. What? Where? Not everything Cap does is selfish, and not everything selfish he does is bad. What? What? Are you redefining the word selfish? Lacking consideration for others, concerned chiefly with one's own personal profit or pleasure. If you're trying to do an analogy of like capitalism, you might have something to argue, but you're not. You're talking about an individual who's a soldier who's trying to save people, and he's a superhero. He's supposed to be above everyone else. If Cap hadn't entered the super soldier program, no one would have defeated the Red Skull. Yeah. In Avengers Endgame is also his instinct for aggression and desire for revenge that leads the remaining Avengers to hunt down Thanos and ultimately kill him. Yeah, because if he didn't stop Thanos, the world would be as messed up as it was. You need people like that to do ridiculously impossible things. And he's the guy to lead the charge. It's like, it makes sense. And not only that, I think he held Mjolnir. Like, he was found worthy in Endgame. Again, a movie I haven't seen, so you know. But I'm quite sure he's worthy of holding Mjolnir. He's seen as a hero by a bunch of immortal warrior gods, and the weapon they bestow upon him to grant him the power of Thor. So, how many more stories do we need to show that Captain America is not selfish? Psychoanalyzing, here we go. Psychoanalyzing a comic book character may seem trite. Yeah, it's also stupid. But there are good reasons to do so. No, there are not. The thing with fiction is characters aren't real, and the author is trying to make a semblance of a person called a character. We cannot create people in the stories and have them be real. We can try and make them seem real, or at least seem believable. A character is not a person. A character is like a slice or a piece of a person. And we go, oh, look, this person is a hero, or this person is trying to be a policeman or a military person. It's like, oh yeah, the flavor or idea of a hero. That's as close as we can get in storytelling. We can't actually get a person. So for as much as we want, we can never get it right. No writer can ever do it properly. But we try. So psychoanalyzing a fraction, a figment of a person is stupid. It's not going to work. Psychoanalysis is rough at best, and now you're trying to do it to a fictional character, not a person, is strange. He's a fictional character, but he's also an important icon for many people. Again, not psychoanalyzing anything there, Mr. Caleb. And he's the golden standard many fans want to live up to. Well, many Americans want to live up to. Captain America. Humanizing him may take the veneer away, but it makes the character, his actions, and his consequences more real. Yeah, that's what we do in stories. We try to humanize characters to make them believable. In doing so, making them more real. But the real goal is believability. So how does that have to do with psychoanalysis? I mean, you're going to have to start talking about Freud now, right? It also helps readers and moviegoers better understand Steve Rogers in and out of the Captain America uniform or as a character. Okay, so again, where did we go from person to character? What are you talking about? It is easy to write him off as an archetype of American machismo. Well, yeah, he's an archetype. He's the hero archetype. When fans try to understand why he makes the choices he does, he becomes that much more complex. Great. That's good. I'm glad he is. What does that have to do with psychoanalysis? Being a hero isn't a black and white issue. Sometimes to Cap it is. And seeing Cap overcome selfish impulses for the greater good is far more rewarding than watching him be a do-gooder all the time. So here we see, regardless of their technique of not using psychoanalysis, even though they say it's important, they're actually admitting Cap overcomes selfish impulses. Once again, contradicting the premise that this author seems to claim is true. Captain America is overcoming selfish impulses, making him an even better hero. It's like, yes, thank you. You're admitting it. Wait, that's the article? That's it? What? Okay, well, thanks, Caleb, for contradicting yourself, having no leg to stand on, and not understanding what words mean. Thanks for listening, folks. Have yourself a great day.